Take my good. Getting a that mic. Guess that's okay. Not the good. I'm plugged in.
There it goes. It was the cable. Now it's all loud. Cool. Questions? We're good? All right. And I guess it works. So, and I do suggest double checking everything, right? So, southeast, it's got to be between 90 and 180, and it's 47 degrees. So, 47 plus 30, well, plus 132, that's real close to 180. In fact, it looks like it's right on it. So, looks all right to me. Southwest, 194, so south 14 degrees, so 180 plus 14 is 194, so there you go. And then the 0.9, that's real close to 55 over 60, so looks good. And then northwest, that's 360 minus 68, so that should be 292. Yep. Okay. Back azimuth. How do you figure the back azimuth? Well, it's just the opposite direction, right? So how do you turn around? Go the other way. If you're facing one direction, you want to face directly behind you, right? What do you, how much are you going to turn? 180, right? Yeah. Plus or minus 180, right? So it doesn't matter which way you turn, right? If I am facing north and I turn to the right 180, it's the same thing as if I turn left 180, right? I'll still be facing behind me. So yep, that's it. However, how do you know whether to turn right or left? Because I don't want to go negative, right? So if I'm at 45 degrees, let's take this first one. I want to turn to the right, so I add 180 to this. On this one, I'm 194. I want to go to the left so I don't go over 360. Right? So if I add 180 to 194, I'm going to get like 374 or something. So there's an if statement there, right? So if this azimuth is less than 180, I could check that, and then I could say if it's less than 180, then I'm going to take that plus 180. Otherwise, I'm going to subtract 180 from it. Won't that make sense? So if it's over 180, I subtract 180. If it's not over 180, right? If it's less than 180, I add 180. So that tells me whether to go left or right. Shouldn't say left or right because we just did this left right thing before, but that has nothing to do with it. It's just turning to subtract the 180 or add the 180. That's better to say it that way, probably. Okay, I probably need some more decimal places here just to show that it has decimal places. And then I fill that down, and everything looks pretty good. 180 plus 112 is 292, and so forth and so on. Looks good. Did it work? Good. Okay. Nice. So remember what we said about the interior angle? We can take, so it's really point B, right? So we take A to B, the back azimuth, right? So I take the back azimuth of A to B, in other words, B to A, and subtract the azimuth, not the back azimuth, but the azimuth of B to C. So I'm using B in both directions, basically. So you take the difference of those, and that's your interior angle. I said 90. Okay. It's 92.8. Is that right? Okay. And likewise, now that I have, well, it doesn't matter. All I got to do is fill it down, right? So here, that up a teeny bit. Oh no, there's a problem. Yeah, and that's because we're subtracting 14 from 292. So I kind of need to know if we're at some place where we're going to back up and cross the north, right? Then it go back to, and we do at that end. We probably want to check and see if, right, if I subtract them and that's less than 0. Do I have to put that in parentheses? Well, no, the subtraction. Because if I leave it, it'll say negative I40 is less than 0, and that'll always be true. I don't know. Or will it take this whole statement without the parentheses? Well, anyway, if I put parentheses, I know it'll work, so I guess I'll just do that. So if I subtract them and it's less than 180, then I'll go ahead and subtract them, but add 360. Because it went past, it went, so it went negative and went to the northwest quadrant basically, and or further, and needs to be added to 360 to reset it. So yeah, just take the J39 minus the I40 plus 360. And really, if you add 360 to any angle, you're going to end up in the same direction. So you're not changing the angle at all. I mean, the numeric value of it, but the direction does not change. So that should help you feel better about doing that. Anyway, if it's not, then just subtract it and call it a day. There, and I'm going to fill that up. It shouldn't change these other ones because they were positive in the first place. The only difference here is, well, I'll go ahead and fill this up, but it won't give me the right number because that's not a number. Will it? Okay, good. I think I remember doing that, but I wasn't sure. Anyway, it's good practice to that, I guess. Okay. So let's see. Now for A to B, the angle at A, I need the back azimuth of D to A, which would be A to D, and then subtract. So that would be J40, and then subtract the azimuth of A to B, which is 45.3, whatever. And then the if statement, of course, if I... So anyway, I'm going to take... all these... I got to move them down. There. Convert all the J36s, which is just this thing, the back azimuth label, and move them to the 112, which is our back azimuth of the DA. Cool. Last and certainly least, we just configure the DMS, the degrees, minutes, and seconds of each of these angles, these interior angles. Yeah, but the problem there is, should that be really 40 minutes instead of 39? So instead of truncating it, because it's that repeating decimal, those things always mess me up. So I'm just going to round it to the nearest, like, 8 decimal places or something like that. Yeah, it is 40. And then that's going to be 0. But gotta do that again. I should just round the mod. And then mod it, which ends up being 0, but that's... Then multiply it by 60. Oh, and then There, in pretty form, there's the answers. Pretty good. After that, we should take a break. So yeah, problem number 411 is we're supposed to, well, I don't know about sketch the interior angles or whatever, but anyway, this is the sketch of the interior angles for problems 4.8 through 4.11. So use this problem here, the sketch, and the interior angles here for A and B and C. So you're given the interior angles, and problem 411 says if the azimuth of AB is 45, 48, 56. Finally, they're using seconds. Anyway, then we won't have that round problem, probably. So, yeah. Anyway, we're given the direction, the azimuth of AB, and you just got to figure out what the azimuths of the rest of them are. That's it. Okay, so we'll let you work on that and come around and try to help. Okay, so I didn't really read this. It says in a counterclockwise direction. You don't have to. In fact, I'm going to say we're going to go around in a clockwise. Unless you already did it, fine. But let's set this up, right? So I would make a column for all the interior angles, right? You could type them all in and calculate them at once, or just make 3 columns for the degrees, minutes, and seconds, and then another column for the decimal portion of it. You really do need to get to the decimal portion of it so you can add and subtract faster that way, really. So, yeah, I would have a column for my degrees, minutes, and seconds each for the interior angle. There's the interior angle lens. A column for each of these. And I would have A, B, or A and AB. Maybe I have a column for each one of those. We kind of talked about that. That's the interior angle label, and that's the course. Something like that. So B, BC, oops. C is CD. D is DE. E, EA. And then the DMS, and then I'd have a DD, so that would actually come across. So a decimal degree for that. Once we do that, the other given was the azimuth of AB, right? So I would have, again, an azimuth for the degrees, minutes, and seconds, right? Another degrees, minutes, and seconds thing for the azimuth. I'll label it up here, but whatever. Far so good? And then a decimal degree for that as well, right? So there's my azimuth, decimal degrees. Okay. Then what? Aaron said something. Yeah, remember when we're trying to do any of this, you got to use the back azimuth so you can point the other way and then do the math, right? So right we don't need the degrees, minutes, and seconds for it, but we'll do a back azimuth. And that's just a little if statement to see if it's less than or greater than 180, and either you add or subtract 180 based on that, right? We did that before. We're okay with that? Finding the back azimuth? Good. Okay, now that we have the back azimuth, and the interior angles all good, what do you do? I'll give you a hint. No more columns, right? You got all the columns you need at this point. Yeah, right? Okay. So if I want to do I know the interior angle of B. I know the back azimuth BA, right? So if I think of the back azimuth BA, go in that direction. Okay. And I know the forward azimuth BC. Right? The difference between them, basically, is this angle. So basically, if I take BA and I back up by that interior angle, I'll end up with the azimuth of BC. How about that?